welcome to Female Fitness Trainers. Today I'm joined by Karen Prato, and she's going to be sharing with us some of the behind the scenes that are going on to the upcoming Faster 3 convention. That's November 2nd and 3rd. I mean, they're the little bits that you're allowed to tell us, I assume. Otherwise, you might have to kill us. Is that right, Karen?
It is something like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the convention actually on the 2nd and 3rd, and I'm hoping I get to see lots of you there as well. But yes, I can't tell you all the secrets. You have to come and find out for yourself.
So what have you been up to since you were last with us? Because you came to see us, I think it was a couple of months ago, back in the Arcs. If you've missed that one, on Female Fitness Trainers on the website. But let us know, what have you been up to?
I've been pretty busy. I've been working on my business. I did some work out in Barbados as well, which was a fantastic experience. And that could be for another talk though. And then since I've been back, I've done FTE, which was excellent with Faster, really enjoyed that. And now I've been working on my talk ready for the up and coming convention. Oh, and I did some improvisation, which I've never really done before, and did a week of it, which I'm hoping is going to help towards my talk as well.
Oh, that sounds great.
I've been busy.
Does sound like you've been busy. Barbados, you know,
Yeah.
So, and I do know that you did the improv. So, just for those that are listening, who was it with?
It was with Dave Rosowski.
And I mentioned that because if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about Dave Rosowski.
Oh God, yeah. It was one of the best things that I kind of thrown myself into that I actually didn't really know that much about, to be fair. So yes, definitely recommend. Yeah.
Quite brave. It's definitely a brave thing to do, I think, and is really, really worthwhile. Back in the archives, we've got a interview with Dave Rosowski and how he teaches listening. So, and that is a crucial skill that I think kind of people think is quite easy, but isn't. But I know that you're really passionate about your Pilates studio, but you're also really passionate about giving your clients what it is they really need and that best experience. And so, I'm going to bring it over to you. What are you talking about at the convention?
Oh, the convention. Well, yeah, it is true. I love my Pilates studio, but I haven't always been a Pilates teacher. In this industry, I started out as Group X, jumping around for a living, and also did personal training. And I kind of fell into Pilates really. And then one thing went to another and I got my studio. But the reason I'm doing this talk, which is on cueing movement and Pilates, is because after teaching Pilates for so long, irrelevant of how much I love it, there were just lots of things that I felt with regards to the clients and learning the exercises that I felt was just taking such a long time. And sometimes I could almost hear myself giving my clients so many cues to perfect their movement. But yes, they did a perfect movement and they are brilliant. But I was thinking, is this the best way? You know, when you get clients and they're giving you that glazed over look, and you're like, and they're thinking, what the heck is she talking about? Because for me, every time somebody cues you, as a client, you must be thinking, well, am I doing it right?
So when you say a cue, just for anybody that does Pilates or does personal training, are you referring to that sort of initial setup of a movement?
Well, in Pilates, we call it setup, but in maybe as a personal trainer and fitness, which is essentially the rules of the exercise. So obviously, whoever you've got in front of you, whether it's Pilates or whether you're personal training or Group X, you need to let people know exactly what it is they need to do. So if you were doing a squat, you'd need to say, right, I need your feet here, your arms here. I need you to move your hips back and down to the floor. Or you could say, Imagine you're sitting back in a chair. So with cues, you've got the set rules, and then as people start to move, you can use cues to reinforce those rules. But from my learning of the education of Pilates, and as much as I love Pilates, that cueing tends to be happening all the way through the movement. Whether the client leads it or not, it just starts to become part of that process rather than just allowing that person to move.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that reminded me of when I first started teaching group exercise, and
Right.
in not Pilates, in body pump. And I remember thinking that I sound like this robot, you know, going knees in line with toes, shoulders pulled back and down, scapula pulled in, head on the horizon. And it was like one after the other. And it almost, you know, sometimes you could see and hear trainers are just on the repeat with that. Is that the type of thing that you
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. I'm not saying every trainer is like that, but there are, you know, especially if you are learning Pilates, some people have just come and they've done their apprenticeship with just Pilates. So you learn this way to almost not just know the method, but to how to teach as well. So for me, I'd obviously done my level 2, 3 as well. So I was already a teacher, and the cues were there, but they weren't as heavy as Pilates. Loads and loads of intrinsic cues. But yeah, I did body pump as well, as you know, and there are lots of cues.
Can I just ask you,
Consistently.
for those people that may not have done a faster course before and aware of the words intrinsic, what would you mean by an intrinsic coaching cue, and what would be a different type of coaching cue?
So I'll just give you a little bit of what intrinsic and extrinsic is,
Oh, a
because
little
it's a big
taster.
part of my talk. So if you want to know more, you'd have to come and watch it or listen to it. So intrinsic is more about internally. It's more about the muscles, you know, engage the glutes, draw the abdominals in and up, shoulders back and down, scoop the abs in and up. So it's more internal, and that's what I mean about intrinsic. And extrinsic is more outside of the body. So for me, as soon as I say the word extrinsic, it means freedom to me. Outside the whole body. So you can use more things like targets or the environment. So for example, I want you to get to the fence and back and come back to me, back up there and back in again. Or I want you to reach up to the sky. I want you to sit back into a chair, rather than I want you to draw your abdominals in and up, shoulders on the back, engage the glutes, and I want you to lower your hips with control in towards the chair and stand back up. So that's the two kind of brief differences. One's more internal, one's outside the body.
I love the way
targets.
your eyes just lit up when you said external, like freedom. I love that. It's like
Well,
freedom,
that just what it means to me, because the more, you know, I've worked on my talk, and the more I've kind of looked at the research, when I thought about it, and I thought about this in the shower, it wasn't something that just, you know, I just thought, and that's me all over, outside. Everything's outside the body, and you know, it's
I hope you're not showering
immediate
outside.
freedom to me, huh?
I hope you're not showering outside.
Well, why not?
In Barbados,
There's
maybe.
no rules. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody will know. But that, you know what? That's what it means to me. That's what kind of helps me think about it, rather than stifling people's movement. Just I'm allowing them to, you know, be successful.
For some of those people that may not have been through any of the faster courses and have always been taught this more intrinsic approach, and they might back up some of those intrinsic coaching cues with an analogy and being a bit more creative as a coach. You know, what were the things that you mentioned research was one of the things that started to change your outlook on coaching?
So, yeah, so if you've not ever done a faster course, then this kind of may be all a little bit, not quite sure what I'm saying, but I've done lots of courses. I've done lots of workshops. In fact, I've spent a fortune, but I don't regret any of what I've done. But kind of when I first discovered faster, that is when everything changed for me. Everything changed for me. And when obviously then I did motor skill application, that changed everything, because I would have looked at, I would have read and I would have learned stuff, but I would never have thought about looking at the research. And that's obviously something I've learned via motor skill application, that there's a process. And I'm not a research scientist, but there's no way before that I would have even thought about looking at the research.
So
Whatever
you were
anyone
really,
told me, I would have believed it.
so you were really trusting your educators,
Yeah, I
the
was trusting
Pilates
my educator.
gurus. Yeah, yeah.
And I've met some really good people over my time, but I never really even thought about, I just assumed that that they'd done the work already. But you know what, as well, what the most brilliant thing is after doing motor skill, that again, learning that process and then trying to understand it again gives you that sense of freedom again. Because if somebody says to you, well, it's because, you know what they say, you can immediately think, well, who's they? And then you kind of start learning to ask the right questions, and it just opens all different doors. My whole mind is like been expanded by that course. And it's, I've always remained I'm a curious person, and I kind of never really thought, oh, well, I know it all. But doing, courses with Faster has literally just changed everything. It's changed everything for me. I might not even be doing this talk if it wasn't for Faster. I've been inspired by it, and digital presenter, but it's just given me so much more freedom to think about what I'm actually doing for my clients.
I've got a couple of little questions.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does really well.
I
got quite excited, but there's two things that I wanted to say. And one of those, first of all, is who is your talk for, or who would benefit from coming along to see your talk?
Everyone who is in this industry would have done cueing. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you're, just brand new in the gym, personal trainer, strength and conditioning, yoga. Everyone cues.
So group exercise, yoga. So group exercise,
yoga, bar, other Pilates studios. It's going to benefit everyone, because cueing
freedom. Sorry. I just went, because freedom.
Yeah, I know. Extrinsic. Outside. I know, it's exciting, isn't it?
The
we should have done this outside. That would have really given it a good environmental change. No, but yeah, everyone cues. So I think this is a really important topic, because cueing is such a useful tool. But you've got to remember that when you're cueing, whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever type of cueing you're doing, wherever it's verbal, where you stand, all those things influence the way our clients move. And, we're all interested in about making our clients' movement better, because if we weren't, then we wouldn't be in the industry. So, yeah, it's important what you say and what you do, how you say it, and so that your clients are successful, not always thinking, oh my God, am I doing it wrong? Do I breathe in now? So, yeah, everyone.
I had another question.
Excited then.
Oh no, freedom. I'm just going to keep saying freedom.
Outside.
When you mentioned about getting a different type of freedom, going off to Where was it?
Barbados.
Barbados. Barbados. Um, I know that you were working in another studio, and I wondered whether you could share with us, some of the experiences that you might have had, because obviously your clients have got used to you being on your learning curve and changing the way that you're coaching, and that you're now setting these extrinsic, these external targets, these games, these tasks for people to move. How did this go down in a studio where they didn't know Karen Prato?
Well, they certainly knew I arrived. I mean, the interesting thing was the studio kind of was set up very similar to mine. And all the clients there were not all from Barbados. They were all from different walks of life. So even though I was going to teach Pilates, it was such a great experience. And that change of environment and dealing with different people from kind of all walks of life. And when I first did it, obviously I went in and I did Pilates because that's what I went to do. But the owner of the studio was more than happy me to personal training as well. They had kettlebells and stuff. And I just slowly just fed bits in. And I fed it in, first of all, by doing some games and fun at the end of a class and kind of bringing everyone together. And then when I was doing the Pilates moves, and they were all very skillful at Pilates. A lot of them had done it for a very long time. So if I was doing something like a roll up from the mat, which is just laying on the flat essentially, and then rolling up and rolling back down, I might get them to roll up and reach over to the right, or I might get them to roll up and reach to the left, or I might get them to roll down and reach one arm out to the side. So I kind of started adding in different variables, and that's kind of how I started introducing it. Or when they were doing a roll down, instead of saying roll down, bone by bone, I say roll down and touch cone, come back up again. So I kind of got the same thing, but I used those targets as well. And I got them interacting as well. So
did anybody so when you go to a Pilates session, you might expect people to say, squeeze your core at 30% or activate your glutes or whatever it is.
29, madam.
Please tell me. Does anybody get upset that you weren't saying that? Because you said they've done it for a long time. And this is really, really interesting, because what you're touching on is that sometimes we need to help someone find the sequencing of the movement or understand what it is we're actually asking. But once they've learned to do it and they can do the thing, you're saying that you add in these coaching cues that aren't about the body parts, they're not about the spine, they're not about, and they're more about reaching different things.
Well, firstly, when I went in and, as I said, I went in and did the thing, and I needed to see how people are, because they had a lot of groups out there which had five, I think it was, or six, can't remember. So first of all, I wanted to see how they were and how they moved. And obviously, the most important thing when you're teaching clients, or you want to kind of make sure you kind of get on that side, not just go in and start going, no, you don't do it like this, you do it like that. So I kind of went in and then I just integrated it in. But I did say to them, listen, I know you get lots of different teachers from different walks of life, because that's how the studio runs. I told them right at the beginning, I don't tend to kind of overcoach you, because I want you to experience the movement. I want you to be able to kind of self-organize yourself so you can get that experience. And everyone seemed quite cool with that. There was a couple that go, oh, am I doing it right? Do I pull in? There was still a little bit of that, but not a lot, to be honest. I just kind of worm my way in. That's what.
No, I think that's awesome. And what's lovely is you're edging on that there is a reason why you do this. I know you mentioned that you went on motor skill and you looked at research, but it's not that you've just suddenly plucked this out, a feather out of a cap and thought, oh, I know, I'll shush up a little bit here. It's not that. It's actually a thought behind it, isn't it? That you've looked at the research around motor skill and how we learn.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And as because I was teaching for quite a long time, it's sort of looking about how much I was saying. I think it really made a difference when I started getting teachers in here, and I took on apprentices, and everyone that's been here has been an apprentice. So I've had 4 or 5, 6 apprentices here, and they've all been really good. But that's the sort of thing that they've come out of their apprenticeship, and I kind of was sitting here working, and I could hear how much they were saying to clients. I think that was the first thing I was thinking. And then I kind of had a little look, and there wasn't really much happening different, but these cues just kept coming. Now, I'm not knocking them for that, because, you know, that's me and that's how I've been. And it's a bit like taking your driving tests. And they all ended up really, you know, great teachers, in my opinion. But that was the first thing. And then I started saying things, and then to my clients, and then I decided to just back off, because sometimes with Pilates specifically, and I'm sure it happens in other walks, they're doing exercise, and even after the first one, you tend to go in and you're starting to cue already before they've even got that opportunity to even kind of feel that movement. So that was my first bit of just backing off, just giving them the rules, the setup, press out, bring your legs back in. And then and it was really apparent that just by giving them that time, the few repetitions, that something started to change already. And that was, I kind of think, the start of me kind of not speaking so much. And then I had my own stuff going on as well, with pain, and I'd been to lots of teachers who were heavily cueing me. And I started thinking about that and how much that had made me feel so restricted. And I felt, God, I can never get this right. God, it's going to take years. And that's when kind of things started to change. So sometimes, you know, I've been to classes and people are literally just walking up and down, reeling off cues after cues after cues, which, you know, makes them sound really confident, makes the clients know that they know what they're talking about. But what benefit is it, you know, to them? Cognitively, you can't take it on.
So yeah, so I mean, that's a really great point, isn't it? That when you started to be quiet or use more analogies, more of the environment that you were in, you were actually giving the client space to learn.
Yeah, I was.
Freedom.
Freedom. Cue for a song.
And then,
you know what? When I first started doing it, I wasn't quite sure why I was doing it. And that's why I say that obviously faster was a big part of, I'd already kind of realised stuff, but I didn't really know really why. And that's how it kind of moved on. But I will say, when you kind of know this stuff and you see the change, even though you might have some habits and you might fall back in it, when you kind of see the difference of what you're saying and how it influences or not influences your client's movement, you kind of can't unsee it. It's
right.
like you cross the line, and it's really interesting, you know, to see the difference. I don't really get a lot of my clients. This is the great thing, that come in and they've got this, they've got that. They're kind of just, of course, I want them to tell me if they've had a bad night's sleep, or, you know, they've not been well and all those things. But prior to this, people were coming in and talking about the same thing all the time. Now, that's important for them to let me know. And then I will make that decision whether I say, listen, think you need to go and see someone. But sometimes we're all going to get little niggles and bits and pieces. But I found that with my clients, I was just getting less of that. And they were getting more excited about movement. And they still are. They're getting more excited about what's next. So
would you say that you changed the environment, that that they were becoming braver in movement, less fearful of movement with this new freedom?
Definitely. I mean, we've got a massive responsibility. And, when people come here sometimes and they've, been in pain, which I have, so I have every empathy for that. For us, it's like peeling an onion. And you want to kind of make people get more confident in movement. And I can see that with my clients. They're like more, they loved it. They've been coming for a long time, but they're more excited about moving. And they're more excited about that next challenge, not about staying with that move and getting it perfect. I can feel a whole change in the energy amongst my clients. So.
And what is the thing that you would like other trainers to do? Because I can see how passionate you are about getting more people moving and, taking away those fears. And that's obviously the driving force behind this talk. But yeah, what is it that you would like other trainers to do? Is to question it or to try being quiet?
So that's interesting. You said to try and being quiet, but so hold that thought. But yes, it is about questioning it. And I just think, even from the reason that I wanted to do this talk was because how I feel and how passionate I am about cueing. As I said, it's a great tool, but it really influences what our clients do. And I feel that even if somebody just took away something from what I'm saying, or just stopped and gave it a thought, rather than going, no, it works because I know I take my clients all the way through it and they do it perfect. But even if somebody just sat back for a moment and just kind of thought about it and questioned it, that would be a start. Because I know, especially in the Pilates world, this is something that's going to take a while to actually filter through. So, and it is going to take time. So there's a massive thing at the moment with where you were trained. And it seems a big thing that if you're not classical, if you are classical, if you're contemporary, if you're this or that, as far as I'm concerned, no, it doesn't matter. I've been trained in lots of ways, different Pilates, and I love the classical. However, that isn't the real big point. It's about, getting our clients to move the best way as possible. That to me is just like, it's just some conversation that's going on, but it isn't the most important thing. They're right, it's not the most important, but nobody's saying what the most important thing is. And that is about getting our clients to move in the best way that they can.
And learning as quickly as they can.
Yeah, because all this going on about who's this and who's that and do what you like. Okay, fine. That's fine by me. However, I mean, I'm proud to say that I've done my apprenticeship as a classical Pilates studio. I'm also proud to say I did it with Basie and Stott and all the other people that have accumulated to where I've got here. However, nobody's saying what you should do now. So I do care about what I do for my clients, and my clients come to Pilates because they love it. They're not coming because of what type of Pilates is, and hopefully they're coming for me as well. But I just feel that that's the important bit. Our job is to get our clients to move better, and that's why we're all here. So,
but it sounds like you've been curious and in a way let go of any preconceived biases of what the right way to get someone to better movement is, because the industry was definitely heavy on the intrinsic coaching and the micromanagement of movement, and you've kind of broken that up. You brought out freedom. I mean, I remember for me, one of the big profound things was, if I can just change the words and get more trainers to remove the words tight, weak and dysfunctional, then it'd be a better place.
yeah,
Because those words aren't words that serve someone to help inspire them to move well. They create fear, they create anxiety, to most people, context driven. So I think it's great, and I'm really excited about seeing your talk. And on that note, I was going to say, are there any other talks, or what are you looking forward to most about the convention on the 2nd and 3rd?
what am I most looking for? Sorry, what am I most looking for?
Yeah, looking forward to. Is it the night off in between?
No, I mean, I'm just really excited to be part of something like the convention, because I used to go to lots of different conventions, and now being part of something is going to be, and listening to all those other presenters that are all bringing something different to the table. I mean, I'm just really excited to be part of that, because, yes, you can do stuff online. Yes, you can, but it's just nothing like bringing everyone together, all those like-minded people. Yeah, that's what I'm just really excited to be part of it. So,
I can't believe there's so many different talks within those
oh
4
my God,
hours.
yeah, it's
There's like
incredible.
bang, bang, bang. And I
And
like,
some such unique subjects as well. I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. There's not any one in particular. I just feel that, I feel like I'm just going to be a sponge and just soak everything up. And then kind of talking about it after and having that. I mean, all that to me has just got lost from everyone that kind of doesn't want to travel or come out of just something new, something exciting, not just the same stuff and everyone agreeing with people, just having that open in your mind. I just think it's going to be brilliant.
I think, yeah, I mean, for me, that's the same thing. Like, I'm really excited about listening to everybody's talks. Also, for me, there's quite a few of you that have come through the motor skill application.
God, yeah,
I'm like,
definitely.
yes, go team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sharing how they've used it, what with martial arts, networking. I mean, so many, yeah, as you said, so many different things. But I think, as you said, the opportunity to be inspired throughout the day and then at night afterwards, because
Yeah.
it's so, it's quite compact. We're going to get a chance to actually speak to everyone. So I think that would be fun too.
I mean, yeah, you think about it, the people, how often do you see that people have kind of gone through different courses and then a whole bunch of them have gone on to presenting or educating?
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I really haven't. Not, obviously I meet, I've been to presenters that come from the States, I've been to the States and different conventions. But to think they've come through, with faster, they've done different courses, and there's so many of them that are now presenting or have got their own course. I mean, that in itself to me is, yeah, that's good. It's inspiring, very, because I don't know any company that does that. Because a lot of people who educate just want to hold it onto it themselves. I keep that.
Yeah.
But no, with faster, it's just kind of, yeah. It's like they feel like they want you to succeed. That's what it is. They don't, yeah, that's what I love.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am excited to see your session, and you're presenting on the Sunday, is that right?
Sunday, that'll be me.
I think I'm there on the Saturday morning and Sunday.
Oh,
Well, I'll be there for the whole
yeah.
lot, obviously. Thank you so much for coming to join us, and
thanks for
really, really
inviting me.
excited to see you in the convention. And thanks very much, Karen.
Thank you.